Life is full of work and stress. Parenting can be a mess. Being a woman is hard enough without adding on that extra stuff. We'll cover topics of every kind. Helpful resources we will find. We'll even drink a bottle of wine. Join us. It will be a real good time.
Hi, I'm Amanda,
And I'm Nikki.
and welcome to Working Mom's Wine, where we drink a bottle of wine.
And whine about our crazy, busy, stressful working mommy lives and talk about our favorite books.
Which is what we're going to do today. I stopped by a liquor store on the way home one day, and I thought I'll get a couple wines and maybe something for like Memorial Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this Josh Sellers Sea Swept.
Ooh,
It's got a little
that's
beach
intriguing.
thing on the back, and I was like, this is the vibe I need right now. I need the beach vibe.
Relaxation, a gentle ocean
Mm-hmm.
breeze.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully it's not too salty. Uh, but it's a Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Grigio mix.
Interesting.
It says it's bright, citrusy, and easy to drink. And I mean, you can't
Man,
go wrong with Josh Sellers.
now I'm mad that my kid is sick and we're not in person. We've already
I
had to
could save
cancel
you
everything
some.
fun for Memorial Weekend, and now I
No,
want to try your wine.
maybe I should bring
My
it
poor
by. It's
daughter
okay.
got sick on the last day of school, so she missed the last day of school and the little fun
Yeah,
ice cream trip I had planned for us after. And then she woke
yeah.
up the next day and still wasn't feeling well, so we missed the our lake community does a summer kickoff party with bounce houses and face painting and all kinds of cool stuff, and we had to miss that. And then today we had to go and get a refund for our movie tickets because we had purchased tickets to see Lilo and Stitch live action today as well. We
Poor
just keep having to
girl.
cancel everything. I feel bad for her. One beautiful, glorious day, I was scrolling TikTok and I came across this funny blonde woman and her adorable and hilarious husband and their adorable and hilarious dog. And I did not know for a little while that she was an author. She was just funny. And so I followed her. And I just
That's
loved
amazing.
her husband and their interactions to death. But come to find out, she's a famous author. And she has inside jokes in her books, like a character that's named Scott because some guy named Scott gave her a bad review for a while and was like kind of harassing her with it or something. And so now a lot of the bad guys in her books are named Scott. And it's hilarious. She even
Yeah,
dedicated a book to him, I think.
I think at one point he threatened legal action for some reason.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. And he mentioned in some review or some email to her that he didn't like her lipstick, so then she made it a point to wear the same lipstick and put it on in every TikTok. And she's like, "Here, Scott, it's me. Put it on." Like it was hilarious.
That's amazing.
Um, but anyway, she was hilarious, so I started reading her books, and I love them. They always have a twist at the end. I never see it coming, even though I feel like I see it coming the whole time. I'm like, I see her leading up to this. This is a predictable trope for this kind of book. This is my, and then boom, she spins it on me, and I'm like, oh. But now her spin is because I'm reading so many of them becoming a little predictable. So there's, it's not like perfection, but she's hilarious. Her books are good. So I love the length of her books. When I say short, I mean they're like regular books, but I'm in the middle of all these Sarah J. Maas fantasy books right now, and they're like 13, 20 hours long. Hers are like audiobook wise, like 8, 9 hours long. So it's a lot easier for me to digest them quickly. I'm an audiobook girl. Don't come at me. Everybody has their own thing, okay?
I will say there were a couple of times this week when I was like, I wish I had an audiobook just because I'm like traveling around. And as much as I like to read physical books, when?
That's part of my problem. I do so much driving for Ari that it's like, okay.
Well, I came across Geneva Rose an entirely different way. I am a big reader, but I've never really read a lot of like psychological thrillers or anything like that. I would always read like science fiction and fantasy and maybe historical fiction, things like that. And we have groups that we call small groups where I work, and you can sign up for a couple every time they come out with them. And so I saw the psychological thrillers one. So I knew a lot of people that were in that group, and I thought, you know what, I'll join. That could be fun. It's a genre I haven't really read before. We read Home is Where the Bodies Are. I have my own thoughts on that book. I do feel like
I like that one.
I love that book. I feel like it was very easy to tell who the antagonist was from a very early point. Like maybe, I'm trying not to give too much away, but maybe with certain career backgrounds, you pick up on something that's in there before other people would have. But so that was the first one I read. And then someone was like, oh, Geneva Rose is doing a meet and greet at the library near us. And it's like, what, 40, $45, and you get a signed book and you get to do a photo op and whatever. And I was like, that's cool. I thought the entire book club was going to this, or like a lot of people in the book club, because they all seemed very interested. And one girl had definitely bought her tickets and was like, everyone should come with me. I'm the only other one that bought a ticket. So I almost even backed out of this thing because I'm like, I can be nervous about going places I've never been before. And I'm like, it's in St. Louis and I just don't know. But I ended
Yeah,
up
it's the
going.
reason I didn't go.
Yeah, it's actually
So it's
not.
downtown. It costs like $40. I'm like,
It's actually not super downtown. It's in the Frontenac area where all the
oh,
where the crazy nice mall is, and it's like super
yeah.
easy. My concern was you never know what the parking situation is going to be or how easy or difficult it's going to be to get into a building. This was actually in a very easy to access location. So if they do things in the future,
Okay.
I'll probably go. Yeah. But so I went and I went early and I stood in line and played on my phone and got in there, and they had it so organized. Like you walk in, they scan your ticket, they hand you a book, they hand you a little post-it note thing that says
Mhm.
which photo op group you're in. We went in there. I got a really good seat. I was like 2 rows from the front and in the middle. Um, and I had a lot of time to kill because they let you in like hour and a half before this thing even begins. And so I picked up my book. I thought, you know what? I'm going to start reading it because she was promoting The Perfect Divorce, and I didn't realize that there was also The Perfect Marriage.
Mhm.
So I started reading it, and then later she comes out and is doing the meet and greet, which was really awesome, by the way. She basically treated it like a very informal Q&A session. She's like, I'm not here to talk at you. I want to answer your questions. So people just got to ask questions the entire time. And her and Drew were very awesome. She was making jokes because she was in Crocs because she's in the 3rd trimester of her pregnancy at this point. And I'm impressed she's even getting on planes. I don't think I would.
Right.
But through the questions, I started to realize that what I was reading was a sequel, and I was like, "Oh, I better stop." But yeah, that's how I got, because I was vaguely familiar with her from reading a book, but then through the meet and greet,
Mhm.
that's how I really got to know like more of the TikTok side of things and all of that. So,
Yeah. And she was promoting The Perfect Divorce on TikTok, and I have
hmm
been on the waiting list for The Perfect Marriage. And for some reason, I got on the waiting list for both, thinking this one being a new one would be harder to get. It was not. It came up to me probably 5 or 6 times while I was waiting for the first one. And I was like,
that's hilarious.
seriously, I need to read the first one first. So when
Well,
it
maybe
came
there's a
in,
bunch of other people running into that. I need to read the first
yeah, maybe.
one.
When it came in, I blazed through the first one in a day and then chugged on to the second one because it was ready
That's funny.
immediately.
Yep. So as soon as Nikki got notification that she could read the audiobook, I started reading the physical book. So today we're going to whine about, but not whine about because it was pretty awesome. The Perfect
Yeah.
Marriage.
Book club.
Um, that's right. We're gonna have a little book club. So this is your warning. if you haven't read The Perfect Marriage, there's gonna be spoilers. We're not gonna keep this
Mm-hmm.
spoiler free. So if you
Mm-mm.
haven't read it, go read it and then come back and watch this.
Yeah. Go away for a little
And
bit, come
here's
back.
I ended up with the collector's edition of The Perfect Marriage, and it has a bonus chapter in it. One of the
Ooh.
things I said was, I'm so surprised that more of the book wasn't spent on Adam's trial. That's what the bonus chapter is. It says, exclusive deleted scene, the trial of Adam Morgan. So she must have decided for
Mm.
whatever reason to cut out the trial itself. Don't know why. Maybe I'll figure out why when I read
It's
it.
probably just
But
too long or something.
I feel like the book's not that long. You know what I mean? Like I read it in one day, didn't I?
It's,
Although I know I read fast.
yeah, it's not long compared to some other books, but it is, I feel like it was a little long compared to her other stuff. I listened to it in a day, maybe a little over a day. I might have started it like a little bit before, but um,
Because
it was
Nikki's
definitely
texting
hard
me,
to work while I was wanting to listen to it.
and you're like, I'm this percentage through, and I'm like, darn it, I better start reading.
I said, hurry up, we gotta talk about it.
That's right.
But I can set my phone on my desk and listen to it in between making phone calls. So, I
Yeah.
get 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 15 minutes here.
What are your initial thoughts?
I enjoy that in many of her, I don't know, maybe this is spoiling too much, but in many of her books,
We warned them.
the unsuspecting woman is the bad guy. And I
Yeah.
like it. Because women are capable and smart and conniving sometimes too. Your husband would probably really enjoy that piece of information.
I was gonna say,
It's not
this is
about the
gonna,
guy being bad.
true. This is gonna get me in trouble, perhaps. But I feel a little bit like Sarah Morgan is my spirit animal.
I
Not
had that
saying
thought
I'm
a few
gonna
times.
go do anything about it, but they start talking about her type A personality and all these other things, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, I identify a lot with Sarah Morgan. I'm not always, I can very often be wrong when it comes to predicting how these books are going to go.
Me too.
But I feel like with
I
this
am.
one,
I'm
I feel
always
like
wrong.
between the two books, the marriage and the divorce book, I only got one prediction wrong. And then there
Yeah.
was one that I had right, but then I said something extra that wasn't right.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of
So
times you'll
I
send me
don't know
stuff
if
and I'll be like, did you read too far and now you're giving me your prediction? Because that's pretty spot on.
actually there was one other thing. There were two things I was wrong about, but they're both in the perfect divorce, so we'll wait until then to cover that. The word perfect has a line through it.
Oh,
And
bloody lion.
yeah, and that's speaking to there is no perfect, there's no perfect
Yeah.
marriage, no perfect divorce, no perfect anything, nothing's perfect.
Mm-mm.
And it was really cute because when we were at the Q&A, there was a little kid there and they got to ask a question and they were like, basically they were like, is there symbolism in the fact that you put a line through the word perfect? And that's when she explained, like, yeah, because there is no perfect, basically. But I loved that, like,
Yeah.
that little kid got to ask their question and have it answered. That's so cute.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a cute moment. And then we got to ask her if she was going to name her baby Scott.
That's great.
um who's your favorite character?
Oh, that's hard.
Sarah Morgan. Who's your
I
favorite
want to say
character,
Sarah
and
because
why is it
she's
Sarah Morgan?
because she's diabolical and
So
she thinks of
diabolical.
everything,
She ties it
every
all up.
little piece, and she goes like way out in left field to bring it back around.
Yep.
And it's, you always think like, what did that have to do with anything? Why this doesn't make sense? Why was that mentioned? But by the end of the book or the end of the two books, you're like, oh, it's
Yeah.
every little piece she thought of.
Yeah.
I love that. But I also love Eleanor, Adam's mom.
Yes, I can
I
hear
thought she was
Eleanor's voice
hilarious.
in my head. She's just so pretentious.
So pretentious. And the way she tossed back Whine, I can relate, girl. I can relate.
Yeah. I just want to slap her constantly, though.
Mm-hmm. She was horrible. She's like
Yeah.
the epitome of a terrible mother-in-law.
What's that movie where why can't I think of her name? The older lady's the fashion designer.
Devil Wears Prada. That's what you're thinking of.
Yes, Devil Wears Prada is what I was thinking of. Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep in The Devil Loves Prada. I feel like that's Eleanor, but like maybe
Yeah.
Eleanor's even worse.
Except Eleanor, I don't believe, has probably worked a day in her life.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely, she has not. I don't know what Adam's father did, but that lady is a wealthy heiress of some kind. That's exactly why Adam ends up being a writer, because when you have a wealthy parent, you can do whatever you want.
You can take all that time to be an unsuccessful writer.
Yeah.
I like Anne too. Little bosom buddy.
I like that Anne is so devoted to her, but she's also just such a little suck up. And that gets a little
I don't feel like
annoying.
she really played the suck up role until she got caught.
Maybe.
In the mistrust, and then she was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, I better."
Yeah,
I mean, she
you might
was
be right.
definitely her go-to person and her employee with poor boundaries, but I don't feel like she was quite as much of a suck up until she burnt the
No. You know
bridge
who
or
our
whatever.
favorite character is? It's Matthew.
Why am I blanking on who Matthew is? Oh, her friend. Yes.
Yeah.
He was the one who told her in book 1 that kids were knickknacks, and then by the end of the book had his own children and husband.
Right. I'm very disappointed that he wasn't in book 2.
I know.
I guess he wasn't needed, but like, give us a cameo.
Yeah.
Jeneva.
Everything, I know. Everybody else was in there, and even someone that we didn't realize was in book 1 is in book 2 and says, "Oh yeah, I was in book 1." So why couldn't we have Matthew too?
Yeah. Like Matthew's probably my favorite now that I think about it. I just love his whole attitude.
He was hilarious, and he came in with a lot of spunk towards anybody but Sarah Morgan. So
Exactly.
I like that.
He was her little defender. It was funny because Anne's like, I think he likes
when
you.
Anne
And
was
Sarah's
like, he's so
probably
in love
not.
with you, I was like, girl.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not how this works.
That was weird.
So
I was like, what?
Well, I think that plays into why maybe I view her more. Like, I get that they're friends and all, but maybe I view her more as a suck up because of that, because she's got the whole naivety thing going on. Like,
it was almost like a jealousy comment.
Maybe, but like, also it's kind of like, I don't know how to phrase this and not be potentially offensive, but like, maybe you run into the friend that thinks they can convince a cute person who it goes a certain way that they could go their way, because they think they're cute and they're like, oh well, I could turn them. Or like in the book when there's a very brief mention that things get a little weird between Sarah and Anne when Anne gets a little too drunk, things like that. So
yeah,
I think that's part of Anne, is like, she's that person.
I'm so distracted right now. Do you see this?
Oh, I've been watching her.
She's been staring at me, and it
Is she
made
in
that
trouble?
song pop up. No, in those TikTok videos where they go, "Somebody's watching me. It's my anxiety." Because Ari sings that constantly.
You need to do?
And she was just sitting there staring at me for a while. I'm like, what are you doing?
You need to screen cap this later and like put that bit on TikTok. It can be like, can you zoom in on a video on TikTok?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so like, just take a shot of that where like you and I are talking, and then like zoom in slowly on Dinah. That'll be so good.
This poor dejected baby. She just wants to be free.
Oh. Poor widow Dinah.
Dinah, do? What is wrong? What is wrong?
Like, I'm bored, Mom. I'm so bored.
It's hot in here too because I closed the door.
Oh, well then she should
like
take a little doggy nap if it's hot.
That's what Rory's doing on the bed. I don't know.
Yeah,
she just
settle
hasn't
down,
learned
Dinah.
the ways yet. Anyway.
Who's your least favorite character? Because I know there's a plethora to choose from.
Adam. Yeah. But from the moment I started this book, I'm pretty sure one of the first texts I sent you was how much I hated this guy.
Yeah,
He is the
you said
epitome of a schmarmy man.
I'll bring it up. Um,
He's gross. He's vile. He is
I
fully
said
100% only focused on sex,
I
which I find
immediately do
most
too. I
men to
said, "Who,
be.
Adam?" The husband in this book is like quite literally everything I hate about men. He's just all the parts that I don't like. And then I responded,
All of them.
Adam?
Overconfident yet underperforming. He
And that's
thinks
why
he's
we
the
decided to
shit, and yet
turn
he
this.
can't sell a book. Like,
Right. That's why we decided
and
to
he's
turn this into a working mom's wine episode. To
that's
whine about
right.
Adam.
And it's all focused. If you're listening with children, you might want to pause because not kid appropriate here in a second. Although I just cursed anyway, so sorry. He's very focused on sex. Everything is about sex,
Yes.
about how a woman physically looks. He does a lot of describing that, and I just like I get so angry about that. I feel like
Yeah.
every time post divorce that I wanted to date someone, that was such a focus for them, and I
Mm-hmm.
hated it. Like, can't we
Yeah.
build a friendship first? Like, why does it have to go straight there?
Right.
Ugh. And so it just like it's like a little trigger for me to get angry
Yeah.
at men. So I got angry at him immediately, and then all of the unfair things that did wind up happening to him, I didn't feel bad about at all.
Well, and here's the thing too, like
You got what was coming to you, sir. Except
I
the death row thing. I did when she said that he was paying the price for his own crimes. I think I sent you a text that was like, "Whoa, that's pretty
yeah,
diabolically cold."
yeah.
To
It
say
is very
you
diabolically
deserve to
cold.
die for cheating. Like,
But I mean like deep down inside, maybe some of us agree with that. It was very vindictive though, like extra vindictive. Um
yeah,
and when
I
so
just I don't know. He's
when
gross.
we had the opening and him and Sarah are interacting and then he goes to the lake house and you find out
Hmm.
about Kelly, but then you find out about like why Kelly. At first I
Yeah,
was like this is still crappy, but if he really feels neglected and this is the only person, maybe whatever. But then he gets so waffly about she's the one, no, Sarah's the one, no, she's, and it all depends on like what little
yeah,
thing they do that he wanted
and
them to
that
do.
is a man.
Yeah. But then, even beyond that, he goes after the reporter.
Mm-hmm.
And at that
Yeah,
point, you're like, okay, this has been a thing with
it's
you. This
whoever's
is
right in
not
front of you for 5 minutes.
exactly. And that's the thing. It's whoever's right in front of him for 5 minutes. It's not even
5 minutes. As a therapist and a logical human being, I know it's not all men. Okay, I know it's not all men.
Brandon's pretty awesome.
I digress.
I got pretty lucky,
Okay,
but
no, I just thought of a second one. There are two. It was Brandon. He's the only person I've met that I has been in a long marriage that I feel like is never gonna do that shit.
that's because
But
he
there is
knows
a
I would
second one I
murder
can
him.
think of. I just don't see him as much. You would, Brandon. She would Sarah Morgan the crap out of you. Don't do it, man.
I sometimes think, like, I wonder if he seriously thinks that. Um, maybe we should say this for the next one, but there is a character in book one that is only mentioned once in book two, and it makes me wonder if there's going to be a book three.
Hmm. Now I'm trying to
Or,
ponder who
like,
that could be.
why bring this person up? What's your favorite part of the book?
My favorite part is just the audacity. There's a lot of audacity in these books, and I just love it. Every time a moment happens,
The
I go,
audacity!
ah! And I'm literally like screaming out at my book. The audacity! I can't count the number of times I yelled, that's diabolical. Or, Bob! I think I even sent that in text a few times. Bob!
You
And I said,
did.
trust me, you'll know when I mean that moment. Like,
You absolutely did.
it was great. It was great.
I think my favorite part was when she told him when she told Adam he was gonna be thinking about her in his last moments. And then he does.
Yes. That was diabolical.
I was also kind of hoping that like Eleanor would hear what she said under her breath.
It's the audacity.
Yeah. What's your least
I
favorite
did
part?
wish a little bit more had happened to Eleanor, but
Yeah. What's your least favorite
me
part of
too.
this book?
My least favorite part.
I know mine.
Go ahead. I don't know what mine is.
When Adam decided he just needed to run, like he's in the jail, and they leave the door open, and he decides that he's just gonna try to get to try to get to Rebecca's house. How dumb? I mean, you're pretty dumb, but how dumb
Yeah,
can you
that
be?
was ridiculous. That was ridiculous.
It was so stupid. Like, just you've done enough
God,
damage.
her
Just sit
whole
there.
involvement. Oh my God, that killed me. I did not see that coming. Her being somebody different, you know.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments, I would have to say, was when I put the pieces together about who Bob was, and it was
Oh yeah.
before. It was like, you know, he took a phone call in some scene, and then you kind of
Yes.
figure out something, and then I go, Miller, Bob Miller, Bob. Like, that was my favorite moment. When I realized that
I
before the scene where it
was
plays out. That
so
was great.
I was so mad at myself for not making that connection because you texted me something, and you might have just been like Bob at that point, and it's he takes the unknown call, then you hear
Mm-hmm.
who dialed him,
He says wrong number.
right, and then you
Mm-hmm.
find out who that was later, and then I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my god, it's Nicholas. Like, why did I not make that connection? How dumb can I be? You got me there, Geneva. I pride myself for
That
being a
was such
smart
a good
person,
moment.
but I didn't pick up that they had the same frickin' last name.
Well, I think for a long time she just referred to him as Bob and not Bob Miller. So, like, because when she was having the problems between Bob and Anne,
I
she
don't
just talked
know.
about Bob and how awful he was. And I don't think she
I
said
think
his
it
last
came up
name.
early enough that I felt dumb for not realizing it.
But we also didn't learn that other person's last name that's related that matters for a while either. So,
Yeah.
because she was
This
under
is
a different name.
where this is where it would be handy to have the Kindle version because then you could just search the word Miller.
I guess my least favorite is just the fact in general that people can get away with everything. That whole idea of that. Nothing in this
Yeah.
book to me felt super unrealistic or unplausible. And I hate that for our world.
Do you want to see Sarah Morgan caught?
Hmm.
Because I thought book 2 would
I've
be
got
about
a
her
real
eventually getting caught.
50-50 on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a moment in book 2 where I was like, mm-hmm, deserved. I get it. But then it turned out to not actually be real. So then I was like, oh.
I do love in book 2 where both
Anyway,
her and Bob got their little fantasy moment of like stabbing each other to death and then it doesn't actually happen in real life.
that was funny. When they described him doing it at that meeting, I was like, oh,
Look so
no. And
mad.
I like stopped in my kitchen.
It's like, there's
I
no
was
way he
like,
would do
oh my
that.
God. That was great. I don't have an unfavorite part of this book.
I have two
It's so
final things
good.
to say.
Okay.
One, when I went to the meet and greet, this was probably on me. I probably didn't understand what they were saying. I bought a whole bunch of other books with the impression that they were going to be signed, and they weren't. So, Geneva, if you ever see this and you ever come
Oh,
to town again,
I
if you
still owe
want to
you
sign
money
my
for the
books,
one that I said I would buy.
I still have it. I feel like I shouldn't make you pay for it because it wasn't signed, and I told you it was going to be signed. But I would love for you to sign my books, Geneva, if you ever see this and you ever come to town. What was number 2? I've already forgotten. We're talking about getting Sarah Morgan caught. Oh, if you need anyone to play Eleanor in your upcoming movie, hi, I'll do it.
Wait, this is becoming a movie? I don't think I
Yes.
knew that. Oh my god, I'm so excited! If we don't go see it together, I'm gonna murder you.
Oh, we should. So,
I'm joking, internet. I'm joking. Okay.
I'm gonna die of like natural causes, and everyone's gonna be like, listen, there's this video.
Nikki did it. There's a video of her threatening. Don't worry, guys. I wouldn't be able to get away with it. I'm not as Sarah Morgan-y as Amanda is.
Yeah, Nikki could never kill anyone and not leave evidence.
I am not diabolical by any sense of the word, which is probably why I can't ever see these things coming that she writes, because I just can't fathom that.
Out of 10, rate The Perfect Marriage.
Oh god, I hate rating books because they're all so different. I refuse to rate them on Storygraph.
Rate
out
it
of
just
10?
on your personal preference if you were going to tell someone whether or not to buy this book.
I'd give it an 8.
That's funny because that's what I was going to give it. Why are you giving it an 8?
I like that it was kind of an easy read, as they say. Like, it wasn't difficult to digest who was who and remember who was who. Sometimes in those fantasy books, I get really confused as to who people are and I forget who they are in the storyline of
We've
things.
had to
'cause
draw
there's so
like
many
little family trees before.
Exactly. So I didn't have to do any of that. And as a busy mom, that is great. I love the twists and turns and that I can't ever predict them, although I think part of that is just my naivete. But I wouldn't say it's perfect because there are things that you can kind of see coming, and there are pieces that you're kind of like, really, sometimes.
Yeah.
But not as many as other books. So, but I do love reading them or listening to them. And I do always find myself going, oh my God, which is what I love. So, not perfection, but pretty dang close to it. Maybe even a 9. Maybe even a 9.
Well, that's the more you talked, I was like, you know what? I think I might have been thinking 9.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, 8 or 9. My only thing is I do feel like it was a little predictable. Like, I knew pretty much immediately that Sarah did it. We warned you guys. We warned you there are spoilers.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she's so nice. Even after all this is happening, she's still representing him. Like, okay.
I immediately saw girl. That, and I was like, ooh, there's something going on here.
It made sense to me. She's like the top defense attorney. Of course you would want.
Yeah, but if you're the top defense attorney and you find out your husband's cheating on you, you're not going to represent them. You're going to represent the other side. He's going to jail.
You're not wrong. I'm too nice. I'm such a doormat. It's ridiculous.
That's the thing. You're really nice, and I'm not.
How did we come from the same parents? We grew up in the same. We're only like a year and a half-ish apart.
Yeah, I don't understand what happened. Oh.
Would be a great case study.
We would be a great case study. If anyone needs a great case study, I'm only $50 an hour.
Oh, I'm more.
I don't know my worth yet.
Therapist rate's like $120 an hour, so we gotta at least do that.
Gotcha.
Minimum.
Well, as always, thanks for joining us. We have the website at workingmomswine.com. We have a Patreon, but I got a email about my personal Patreon the other day being shut down for inactivity. So I don't know if we got that email about ours. So for now, we have a Patreon.
Yeah, just visit our website.
Working Moms Wine. Yeah. And then you can always find us on the socials as Working Moms Whine. But we would love to hear your thoughts and comments on the book. If you have read it, if you haven't read it, you should go check it out. And I don't know why you watched at this point because we told you that it was full spoilers. And if you hadn't read it, you were supposed to go read it and then come back. So what is wrong
So
with
how
you?
dare you?
How dare
The
you?
audacity!
The audacity! Yes. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. We would love to hear your thoughts on the book below.
Comment below.
So,
Answer the questions we asked each other. What's your favorite?
that's
What's your
right.
least favorite? All that stuff.
That's right. And then like and subscribe.
Yeah. Come back for episode 2 where we talk about the sequel.
That's right. Bye.
Peace.